Well, let's get down to it then. Let's get back to round number 9, game number 2 here at the MXP Houston 20K. Opening hands, looks like the Happy leaves. It's going to start off with just a tap land, no suspended Lotus Bloom. Also, no Leyland the Guild Pact. I'm being told in my ear that Brent went to 6. It's going to start off with a Ragavan. Okay, I know you.
Bhagavan
Gone.
is not entirely amazing in this matchup. On the draw, on the play, it's great. On the draw, it gets bricked by, here it is, Thundertrap Trainer and also Phlage Archaeologist as well.
I was going to ask you what's your what art of Ragavans that you use, because I believe that you've cast this card quite a lot in paper recently.
Yeah, I use the full arson paper because it's what I had. If I had gotten my copies now, I would have gone with the same copy that Brent has, which is the retro border.
Okay, okay.
If I could have retro border everything, I would take retro border everything.
You're just a wannabe boomer, aren't you?
Yeah. Mangu was the one that converted me. He kept yelling at me for playing full arts and cards that he didn't recognize.
See, I'm all about that. I literally want all the crazy arts of cards because it makes my job a lot easier when I'm in the booth of recognizing what cards are. No other reason. We're going to take ourselves a spell snare, but we are tapped out, and Brent is aware of it now. So the 2 drops in hand might not be resolving anytime soon. Do you see a tribal flames? Do you see double stubborn denial?
I think I
Okay, we
kind of
got.
like casting the Tribal Flames on this Thundertrap trainer,
I
especially
kind of
since
like
you
this.
saw. Oh,
Like
just taking a
how,
hit.
yeah, like how important is that? This is going to tell me I'm either going to get a creature off the battlefield or it's going to connect, give me information that one, you really want that on the battlefield. Plus, it's going to help wrap me out. And now we can do the line that you said. We can use the tribal flames to kill the creature with stubborn denial backup and mystical dispute as well. We've got 3 counter spells in hand currently.
I think I would have done it pre-combat, the Tribal Flames, because I would be afraid of the Ragavan being blocked here. You know that he just picked up a Spell Snare off the Thundertrap trainer, so the Tribal Flames is just going to get worse and worse the longer the game goes.
Okay, well, Ben's happy just to pass the turn back, keep up all these counter spells that he's got. The good thing about Mystical Dispute is it hits basically everything in the deck, besides Belcher and Lotus Bloom. Just tap land and pass. Untap our Ragavan, draw a Kavu. Play Wooded Footholds for the turn. So mana is definitely not an issue in this game. But drawing a
So you're just
2
going to
drop in the
combat
face of
again.
Snare. Ragavan's getting in again and still no blocks.
I feel like Tilford should have just snapped off the block initially. I understand why he didn't, because he has 2 copies of Flare of Denial, but this Ragavan's applying so much pressure and giving Brent so much extra mana to work with.
Yeah, like now if we can get a Kavu down as well, that's a lot bigger clock. So here comes a red green, and it is going to be Kavu.
Spell Snare.
Spell Snare that.
You fight over this?
I think I would. I think I'd dispute this. And then we can see double flare in hand as well. This might not go well for Brent, but it's going to eat up a bunch of resources. So yeah, it's going to be. Here comes the dispute. Counter target blue spell unless they pay 3.
So we could Shoal pitching the Whir. I don't think that's worth it, though.
No, I also see a Tameshi in hand. I think.
Or we could also pitch.
No, we're going to pitch a flare.
Okay.
I think we've got double flare, so this makes sense as well. And we don't have ferocious at the minute, remember? So these are just 4 spikes. These thumb denials in hand.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid argument for not letting the Kavu resolve.
So we're going to go. Sure, that's fine. Yep, this is maybe fine. Would you start with that? Would you? Like, let me get my words out. The line that you said is starting off with that tribal flames to bait it out the spell snare. Because realistically, I think the card we wanted to resolve there was the Kavu, but we started with that where we could have started with the tribal flames targeting the creature, which would have kind of potentially started that chain reaction that we just saw there anyway.
Yeah, I think the Kavu is much more important at this point than the Tribal Flames. So I kind of like pointing the Tribal Flames at the Thundertrap trainer, baiting out the Spell Snare, and then getting the Kavu down afterwards, having those live Stubborn Denials.
There's another land. We didn't fetch end of turn. I wonder if there's any surveil lands in these decks. There is
There's at
one
least a
surveil
Lush
left.
Portico, right?
Yeah, it's not a sport because the only one in the deck.
Yeah, we saw that game one.
Ooh, Tameshi was found. Do we want a 2/3 that does basically nothing?
Just the 2/3.
I'm just
At
gonna
this
go.
point, you're not really doing anything else with your mana. I think you're casting the 2/3 here.
Yeah, I don't hate it. We're gonna go fetching. I think we might be taking the full 3 points of life here. Realistically, unless you can get yourself over, I think we worked out yesterday like 55 or something. A shock is the same as just fetching a basic. Maybe we're trying to play around harboring us as well. That's got to be on the back of our mind. Harboring us.
Yeah, the basic mountain for the Harbinger's got to be very important.
I think I've lost to that card more than any other card from MH3. Like I get caught out by that card so much all the time.
Because it's not super intuitive to fetch basic mountain after you've been like trained for years that you're
Yeah,
supposed to play around with Blood Moon.
yeah, that's what it is. I think I can just like straight up lightning bolt things, and I'm like, no, I can't. It's an island. I can't do that, and just get completely got by it. Here comes the whirler, but we are tapped out, so we could use one of our stubborn denials. And I think I would have used the stubborn denial there. I think I would. It's not going to get much better for me to get a force spike to at least kind of force the action here. But Brent decides against it. Says nope, that can resolve. Lotus Bloom is going to go into play. So that's going to take us up to 7 mana now. We have
Yeah,
Belcher. We might
I
just win.
completely agree with you, Will. I think spending that stubborn denial while there's no mana, because you know this is gonna be +3 mana and it's just a soft stub. I think you just gotta cast it on the whir there and kind of just deny some mana.
What was that card that we just drew? I didn't get a good look at it. It's an art I don't think I've seen before. It looked like it was an artifact, but I didn't quite make it out.
Oh, it's a prosperity card, it looks like. I can't tell what it is. I think it's surgical extraction. No, it's not. Wait. No,
No.
Brent has surgical. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at the deck list. I'm like, what could that be? We'll find out, I'm sure. As we're just passing the turn back, Brent looks like he's going to fetch end of turn, maybe trying to get that Surveil land on the go. Go down to 14 here. Commandeer. It could be a commandeer. Chat pointing out if it is. Shout out to you. 10 points.
Ah, commandeer. Yeah, you're right. That did come in prosperity newspaper.
Chat's so big brain. What are we trying to surveil here? What's the best card that we can hit? Phlage?
Yeah, I think it's Phlage.
Okay, so we go. Top card. Brent's looking. Brent likes. Keeping that one on top. Gonna untap. We're gonna have a little look at it. Okay, Kavu. Good one. It's gonna have a big, more than 4 power, which means that these Stubborn Denials would be turned on if they were to, if it was to resolve. 3 mana.
Sinks the
Ooh,
Tameshi. Oof.
I like that. 4 mana up.
I think you just have to let the Tameshi go.
Oh yeah, I don't think you've got an option here. I would. This is not where I'd be fighting my fight.
You're like double soft stub, but you have the Kavu that's gonna turn the stubborn now ferocious on. I think you just let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna let it go. It's gonna bounce back because it is the owner. It goes back to his own hand. And does of course have the white mana and Lotus Bloom, so mana is not going to be an issue if that is to resolve next turn. We are just missing the one combo piece. It could be a Whirler, it could just straight up be the Belcher. Top card, well, join another one. It's another Whirler off the top. Not a Whirler, Tameshi, sorry.
All right, I think I would start this by Tribal Flames on the Thunder Trap Trainer.
Okay.
But it looks like we're just playing the Kavu into potential counter magic again.
We are.
And I think if you're Tilford, you probably just have to counter this with Flare because you can't allow Stubborn Nile to be turned on.
Are you sacrificing the creature for flare, or are you going to hard cast it with the Lotus Bloom?
Oh, looks like you just let it go.
Oof. Okay. 3 mana, cast the Tameshi. This game is crazy. All right, untap. Down to 9 life. Big draw step. That is a commandeer in hand. Another flare is found. Tameshi is now in hand. Lotus Bloom. This is the question now: is how many of these lands actually do something relevant? Because of course we can bounce them back to our hand if needs be. Still
Yeah,
got
looks
land
like
drop
it.
for the turn.
We have one Stupor Springs. Is that what it's called? It's the secret of
Pass.
Stupor.
Sinking the Stupid would probably be the better one for us to actually have at this point. I'm seeing. Don't want the disruption.
So you said there
Avail.
was like no cost to casting Tameshi for Brent, but then that Secret of Stupor bouncing the Tameshi back into Tilford's hand was really a big punish for Brent
Why so?
because now he's got a Tameshi. We got the white mana here. We're gonna bounce Secret of Stupor.
Gets to go a card deeper as well. So if this
Yeah,
is a Belcher, there's a good chance we can just win on the spot. It's not.
it's a Seagate Restoration though, which means we can draw equal to our hand size.
And we can make our hand size pretty big, but it's going to cost us a lot of our lands that are on the battlefield, though.
Maybe that's just okay.
You got to remember, we're only at 9 as well. There is a Tribal Flames floating around in that hand. And we've just been taking hit after hit from this Ragavan. This is definitely a pickle he is in. It's going to be hard to navigate a W out of this situation. We have to be able to live a turn, I think, is the main bit.
It's a shame we don't have any energy because we could suppression ray and then pay some energy to stun stuff, but there's no way of making energy as far as I know.
I think you're correct on that one. We're going to float 2 white, 3 blue. Return the Lotus. To the battlefield. The players are just going to talk for it, so we're going to turn the mics up so we can all hear at home exactly what's going through their heads and what sequence is happening.
Float blue. 6.
6 blue.
So we can float a white with the suppression ray land, and then pick
My
it
last
up.
white. Return this to my hand. Sure.
Blue's going back to the battlefield again.
I'd like to cast Seagate Restoration.
Seagate for 7.
So for 7, man.
Yeah, I'll also read that card just to make sure I know what
How many
it
cards
does.
do you have in hand?
6.
Draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. I would like to denial that, Brent says. Ferocious is
Yeah.
on, so it is a straight up negate now.
I think Tilford should have 0 blue floating now.
Does
Yeah,
have 0
okay.
blue, correct.
So no mana to fight over anything, which means we have to use nothing but free spells.
We've got the
Which is
Lotus
gonna...
Bloom still. We could have
That's
hard cast the
true.
Lotus, the flare if we wanted to.
But every
Okay.
single time we fight over this, it's reducing our hand size as well.
Yes. We've got another flare. Is it worth our Lotus Bloom or is it worth our Tameshi? We could commandeer it, but that would take 3 cards out of our hand, which would make the Seagate a lot worse than when we actually put it on the stack. And we've got to remember we're only at 9 life.
I think you have to sacrifice the Lotus Bloom to flare.
I think you're right, because this commandeer could actually hit the Tribal Flames if that's on Lee's memory. And then when they go to tribal flames, you could point the tribal flames at one of the creatures and, like, you know, basically get 2 threats dealt with in that turn.
Sorry, thinking.
Yeah, the commandeer taking 3 cards out of your hand just makes the Seagate worth so much less that I don't think I would even consider it. I just think it's like, what are you flaring with? You're flaring by sacrificing the Tameshi or the Lotus Bloom.
I think it's the Lotus Bloom because Tameshi's a lot more valuable on the battlefield at this point while we've still got 1 white mana, and I think we've still got a land drop to make for the turn. So we can kind of make a mini loop for next turn where if Tameshi's in the graveyard, we are relying on just our Lotus Bloom plus, you know, 5 mana basically to win the game next turn, and I don't think that's possible. I'm not
Yeah,
sure it's possible with just Tameshi behind you, but here we are.
I feel like you have to just flare sacking the Lotus here. You don't really have any other options.
And he's going through all the options in his head, trying to decide which one is best in this instance.
There's still a draw 4, or sorry, draw 5 off the Seagate Restoration.
I don't know how we win though. That's the problem. Like we're pitting ourselves because we went for this turn. We put ourselves turns behind to potentially even win the game. So now we're playing this stalling game, and it looks like we are going to go the Lotus Bloom or not. We're going to we are going to use this commandeer,
Yeah.
ditching 2 blue cards. I would like to steal that stun denial.
Or sorry, target commandeer.
It's a tough decision, but it's one we made.
These go next.
Yeah, it's rough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then this is going to be what, a draw 3?
Draw 3.
So if we still have land drop, we're gonna have
Oh, you draw that many
up
plus
to
one? Yeah.
8
Okay.
mana.
That's cool.
So maybe he's just trying to spike the Belcher this turn.
1,
1, 2.
2.
Belcher? No.
No, not Belcher. Ways to find Belcher, but if we're doing this the hard way, we can get an archaeologist down. Maybe that's just the way this turn. Maybe we've got like play both our creatures this turn. Bolt ourselves down to 6, play double creature, so we at least got a couple of blockers. Plus we get to go deeper into our deck. Tapping the blue, yeah, I'm sacrificing this, so we're gonna add 4 blue. Use 2 of it. Archaeologist, top 3, put 1 into our hand.
So 2 floating.
Okay.
Unable to scream isn't bad.
No, I quite like that. That would make the cavalry extremely small. Then that means we can't play the other trainer in our hand, which means maybe we should have used the Lotus Blue mana first because we could have left 1 blue up here, used the extra blue floating for the scream, and then that 1 extra blue we've got could be used for our counter spell that we've just drawn, the Mystical Dispute. Maybe a slight misstep there, but surely he's got something going through his head.
So to clarify, chat, the Commandeer is targeting the Stubborn Denial, and then the Stubborn Denial targets the Commandeer. Once the Commandeer resolves, the Commandeer leaves the stack, so the Stubborn Denial just fizzles.
Layering.
Kind of a cool interaction. It's something that doesn't work if you try to commandeer a consign to memory that's being replicated. Because of how the stack works, you can't actually consign to memory the replicate trigger with a commandeer, which is interesting.
Interesting. All right, back to Brent after that. That was a crazy long turn. Brent, 3 creatures on the battlefield. One of them it doesn't have trample cavalry, right? I always think it's got trample, but it's not because there's no ley line out at the minute. So it's just a creature able to chump block at this point. Tribal Flames in hand, and 4 cards in hand for Lee.
Yeah, no black source in the mana base either, which means it's just a 4 damage Tribal Flames instead of a 5. But we do have the Aired Mace in hand, so we can actually go get black mana.
We could also loot at this point, right? Like, are you exiling the Lotus from the graveyard when we attack with this cavalry, or are you going to draw a card, discard a card, to try and turn that land in our hand potentially into a better spell?
I kind of like just having the lethal tribal flames. I think I would exile the Lotus out of the graveyard.
Kind of turn that off, that out for Lee. I agree. I think
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
Okay.
And especially the way that Lee's going to have to kind of block awkwardly here. It looks like he might lose his whole board. And if he does lose his whole board, that's going to turn off the Flare Denial that he's got in hand. So the Tribal Flames would just straight up be lethal. And yeah, it turns everything sideways. Brent's the side goes for the loot. I think he finds a Draco.
I don't know about looting that land away.
That might be costly because we can tap like this, take no damage.
Yeah,
Only
the tribal flames would have been lethal.
I think there's a flare in hand, but yeah, like you know the way that he played this out.
Yeah, well, regardless, I think taking the Lotus is so important out of the graveyard.
It's given Lee an out that we didn't need to give him. I think is where I'm at. But let's have a little think. Does the Draco also cost 4 now as well?
Yeah, the Draco is 4.
I think I just do it. I think I just like I can't kill you this turn, but I suppose okay. Tribal Flames pointing at Tameshi. We're gonna Flare Denial to keep that around.
This is
Consign
the
with the
trouble.
draw.
Now that Lotus Bloom coming back is an extra card as well.
So we're gonna Scream the Cabu, turn it into a 0/2. So now that's not a problem.
Turn this to my hand.
Turn this, return the Lotus, draw a card. Just another land. Still got land drop for the turn.
It's 6. Yeah. 1 card.
It's gonna be a tap land and go.
Yeah, Tilford just has not been able to find this Belcher
Oh,
yet.
and that was the Arena of Glory off the top. We can just give this flyer a 4/4 haste and
Haste
get
to
in there.
Scion?
Not enough.
Yep.
Ugh.
Oh, gotcha.
Give this haste as long as life totals are correct. Tameshi's just bounce.
We have Consigned to Memory, and we also have Mystical Dispute.
I'll consign replicate twice.
We're gonna consign it. Okay.
Oh, Tameshi can get Scion of Draco out of the graveyard.
I was about to say, can we pay enough?
12?
No. Would it not be? It'd be 13, right? It's white plus X.
Am I allowed to activate?
Yeah. 13 mana, return Scion.
You have to have a target.
I would have loved to have to see that. I don't think it's gonna happen, but we can wish. Crazier things have happened on coverage over the years.
Yeah, I think Brent's asking, is the cost of Scion in the graveyard reduced? And the answer is no.
Or, sorry. Yeah, float blue.
Float 1
Tap white. Return
blue
this,
and 1
trigger.
white. Return this.
Also, this Arena of Glory should be exerted. However, there's no indicator saying that it's exerted.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the turn, if he untaps it, we can.
We can go back in time and stop the match.
Yeah, you bought a time machine, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Just making sure.
Go ahead.
And then we're gonna play land. So we're slowly chipping away, keeping things around. Basically, we're trying to get our mana resource up. Still no Belchers though, even though we've looked at well over half of our deck at this point.
I remember the arena.
We're gonna bring the Cavu back, which means the Cavu can be lethal next turn as well. There's Belcher.
History card.
Right, math time. 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
I think we can
7,
do it.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh yeah, we got plenty of mana. We should have up to 12 this turn.
So we're floating 3 white, 1 blue.
Return this to my hand.
Return this.
Trigger,
Use 1
go
white.
down to 2.
Draw a card because we returned it to our hand. Played the Lotus Bloom.
I need the mana, so...
The Zoo deck got a Tameshi with Ragavan.
Sacrifice the Lotus Bloom. Go up to 5 blue. Let's see if can we turn the player mics up a little bit so we can hear this?
Again. Go to 3. drop another blue. Use all my whites and 1 blue. Cast a Belcher.
I think that's 1 more, right? Or is that-
Yeah, I had a. Oh, sorry. You're right. That's 1 more.
I'll attempt to.
Oof. Drew the
Oh.
consigned memory
Use
for
1
the
blue.
turn.
I'll
You've
dispute it.
got that covered
Okay.
from mystical dispute.
Yeah.
Outfitted
Do
by
I want to do my
Giganta.
deck?
Yeah, sure.
And we could have replicated that consignment memory multiple times. I
Jeez,
think Tilford was just dead.
that was a crazy game. That was the
game
way
2.
that it panned out on both sides. It was
What a game.
crazy. But what it does give us is it gives us a game number 3, and I love game number 3. No idea how much time is left on the clock, but quickly let's have a look at the sideboards because now Brent is going to be on the play. We haven't seen a leyline opener yet. Maybe game 3 is going to be the one as he's going to pick up his sideboard. We're going to go look at his sideboard as well. This is the main deck. That's the side. Anything you'd mix up now after seeing that second game?
I'm looking at the surgical extractions more and thinking that they might be a little bit more appealing if they're gonna still be on the full 4 Tameshis. So maybe surgicals again. I think wear tear is a little redundant, but you do get to take out lightning bolt and you get to take out Phlage. So that's 6 cards out. You bring in 3 consigns, 2 mystical disputes, and a surgical maybe. Kind of like everything else.
Let's have one last look over at the Belcher side as well. Just refresh anybody that's just tuning in. This is going to be the Belcher 60 plus the 15 in the sideboard. News hard at work.
How do you feel about taking out the leyline of the guild packs in this matchup? I mean, they're not amazing.
I think I like it enough because just getting a Draco out early gives me enough of a benefit. I want to get my clock as quick as I can, but then if you have Leolands in and you don't have it in your opener and you draw it later on in the game, it is just a dead card at that point. So I can see the argument for it, but I think the fact that it will smooth out my mana in the early turns where I need it to be smooth is more of an advantage than a disadvantage going through. Here's the mono blue deck. Here's the Belcher. Anything you want to bring in or out after seeing that game too?
I didn't really like the Commandeer. I think the Commandeer was a little bit too narrow, but we did see Tilford bring it in, so maybe we'll see it come into play during this match 3, which we're going to head down to right now.
I love these graphics, by the way. Lovely little improvement here over on NZ stream and the production value that's going into it. So we have a look at the opening hands here. I see Ragavan, a bit of Burn, a Leyline, a couple of lands over for Brent. Over on Lee's side, I think I see a Lotus Blue and a couple of land. And realistically, that's all you want in these mono blue decks to start off with. And then
Yeah, so Brent's hand is very light on interaction. Just a very aggressive hand, turn 1 Ragavan with the Bolt and the Tribal Flames and nothing else to back it up except for that Leyline Binding. So we'll see if this hand ends up being good enough.
This is 10 damage turn 2. What are you talking about? This is a crazy opener. Here comes Ragavan.
We'll see.
Archaeologist, what we're going to find. Lotus Bloom is going to go on suspend and just pass the turn back. This looks like a perfect opener for Lee here. That hand looks great, sculpted exactly what you'd want if you were playing the mono blue Belcher deck.
Brent's very, very good at not opening Leyline and then drawing it as the first draw step for turn.
Have we done that twice now? Yeah, that's so
yeah,
brutal.
that's number 2.
Do you want to cast an Archaeologist here?
Oh, I love it.
I would a bit more burn.
Absolutely cast this Archaeologist because it can find you Mystical Dispute and Stubborn Denial. I don't love using the treasure token though.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, we got to find our land types, right? At least that fetch land can get us a triome.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well,
Okay, we can take Mystical Dispute.
You called it. Or do you want a 1/4 to get the beats in? Yeah, I think I would take the counter spell here as well.
Is Scion even a legal target to grab?
Good question. Well presented. Give me a second and I will look the text up. And it's the battlefield mill free cards. You may put a non-creature, non-land card from among those milled this way into your hand if you do not put +1/+1 counter on it. So, no, is the answer to your question.
There it is. Unable to scream on the Ragavan.
Go ahead.
That's going to send the bleeding.
I imagine this is for the 3-color triome.
Or would you mystical dispute this? because the hand's so weak.
I think you got to get a Triumph here. Or Lush Portico.
Alright, let's see if we can surveil something good into either our hand or the graveyard. Brent looks at the live toll. That tells me it's a burn spell.
Yeah. It's a Lightning Bolt number 2.
Keep
Leaves it
top.
on top.
I'm going with Tribal Flames. Who's the Lightning Bolt? You're so good at this. You're so good at magic. Has anyone ever told you this?
So good at having eyes that I looked at the Lightning Bolt.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. God damn it. I need to get those things eyes that people keep talking about. But this is a lot of burn. It's just not a lot of pressure. You know, currently we're going to have roughly 11 points of damage, but that's still 7 short. And while we don't have a recurring source of damage, it is going to be rough. We're going to fight over this though.
Pass the turn, missed land drop by Tilford.
Ooh. That is one big thing about these Belcher decks. It really needs to hit its land every single turn. And things like the Archaeologist and the Trainer, they not only help you find spells you need, but they can also help you find the lands that you need moving forward.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of keeping that bolt there because you have no sources of pressure right now, creature-wise. And 11 damage while your opponent's at 18 isn't worth too much.
I feel like I would have cracked the fetch. I'm not entirely sure why we're not. But I'm sure it'll pan out. We can play the Leyline this turn if we really want to.
I think I'm more
Great.
interested in buying the Giganta.
Nope, pass turn back. So again, we're very reactive hand here. We've got a Leyline binding. We could use the Leyline on the screen to be able to get in with the Ragavan, but I think we're going to try and use it now in the upkeep. Lotus Bloom is being cast. Yes, it resolves. While it's there, we're going to Leyline binding that. Still not fetching.
Yeah, I think that fetch is reserved for Blood Crypt, but you might as well leave it up in case your opponent plays a Harbinger. You can go get Basic Mountain.
Fair denial is what we found for the turn. Still no more land. Going to go off with the Trainer. This one's going to resolve, so we get to look at top 4. Do you find 1 lands in that, plus a couple of counter spells and a Lotus Bloom? Ooh, I feel like I would have took the land there, but what do I know? Lotus Bloom, and then instantly pin it into suspend. Now we've got blue creature, so the flare denials are now active. End of turn, lightning bolt it. He says sure.
Alright, thinking about cracking the fetch. Goes for it. I expect this to be a black-red land.
I think it's going to be a triumph. Can't fetch ley lines, famously. Would be really good
Use
though.
the ley line. It's like, can I cast this?
Alright, we're both wrong. Basic Mountains where we're going to go. We do not want to get caught out by a Harbinger here, which is understandable. Leaves me stuck on land, hasn't had option that third mana just yet, so if there was a Harbinger in hand, we wouldn't have seen it. If you don't need to lose to a card, why even go around it? Here comes the card that used to be banned in Modern. Wild Nakato. Do you remember those times when this card was too powerful for Modern?
Do you know what the name of the German wild Nicodle is?
No.
Wilder Nicodle.
It sounds like a rubbish dad joke.
It's true, though.
Okay, well, we're going to play it for 1 mana. It is going to be a 3/3 because we do control a mountain and a plains. Archaeologist come down on the other side. Brent says, sure. Top 3 cards. Which one would you like? You got land, Whirler, or Tameshi? Again, I think I take the land here, but
I think you have to hit your land drop this turn. It's been too many turns of just missing lands.
especially where we've got Lotus Bloom on 2. If we go land here, if we can hit runner land, we're going to have a turn where we can go Lotus Bloom in and Belcher in the same turn. And our life total is nice and high, 18. These do a great job at stemming the bleeding of that Ragavan because the can't scream. And now that we're going to have a 0/3, that can at least chump for 1 turn if needs be. Jokes. Lightning Bolt's going to get rid of it. Lightning Bolt on this is, again, turn off these flare denials. I'm just going to
Yeah,
draw
the
him.
lack of pressure from Brent's side has really been detrimental for him. It kind of brings me back to when we kept that lightning bolt on top with the surveil land instead of a repeatable source of damage.
I do see Bowmasters was the draw. So having to play out this ley line. This ley line does give us black mana.
You know what? Bowmasters is a pretty good card to sideboard out. I think I would have brought in the Surgicals and the Wear Tears over the Bowmasters.
Yeah, Bowmaster's not going to do too much. It doesn't draw. It does draw cards this deck, but it doesn't actually have the words draw cards. It's more like look at cards and put cards in hand, like we're seeing here off the trainer. Look at the top 4.
So there's exactly 2 cards in this deck that draws cards. One of them is Tameshi when it brings the Lotus Bloom out of the graveyard for the first time, and the second one is Seagate Restoration.
We find the land, we play it. So now when this Lotus Bloom comes to suspend next turn, if Brent can't either kill Lee this turn or have some sort of disruption, he will lose the game. And that Kavu off the top is not it. This is not going to be enough. Relying on a lot of burn plus that Ragavan game plan has not panned out. Maybe we would have got it done if we have an extra turn here. Maybe if we could have hit a few more times with this Ragavan. Kavu comes down. Kavu is going to be a 4/4. There's still no... Oh, no, it's not. It's going to be a 5/5. The Leyline is on the battlefield now. Cast the Lotus Bloom.
You know, this brings me back to when you said Mystical Dispute, the Unable to Scream. And I think that Brent would have had so much more pressure if he did spend the Mystical Dispute on the Unable to Scream.
I'm gonna leave myself with 1 white floating.
And here it comes. Oh, we're going to go for the
Use my last white.
safer line with Tameshi, but even the... Yeah, even Bowmaster doesn't get this because there's only 1 card. You can't draw multiple. I've fallen
You
foul of
can-
that before.
You could Bowmaster the Thundertrap Trainer. It's not great, but it's the line.
It's definitely something you can do. That is correct.
I have no mana after
It makes it like Tilford just has this rolled up now. He's got all the
Oh,
mana
yeah.
in the world. Flare of Denial.
turn 0.
Flare tonight, why not? Don't want to give you any excuses. You're completely tapped out now. I'll just be in the line of right. Just show me the Belcher.
Another
know
another
you-
Flare of Denial. Makes a bunch of mana, has the Belcher, has the Flare of Denial, and that seems like it's the match for Tilford.
We're just going to go through the motions now. Like he's demonstrated, you know how this works. I know that you're going to be gaining a bunch of load mana. You're going to return these lands to your hand. All you need to get to is the 7 mana. That's the key. That's the sweet spot. 4 mana to cast Belcher, 3 mana to activate it.
Turn here. That's
Make sure you do it in a nice sequence though. There is a judge there. Don't want to pick up any game warnings. Still got a lot more Magic left to play today because of course we've got 5 rounds of Swiss before and that cut to top 8. If you just tune in, we are in round number 9. So still got a bunch more before we find out who is in that top 8. Could be one of these 2 players we're watching right now.
turn this to my hand.
Back
Up
to
to
Lotus, 9 mana. Brings it back.
Cast Belcher.
Plays the Belcher. And I think we're going to see a handshake here in just a second, Will.
There's the
There it
handshake.
is.
Tilford offers the handshake, gets the W. Congratulations to them. One thing I need from you, Mr. Dingo. What sound does a Belcher make once it shoots someone for lethal?
Kaboom!